Let's talk about Zillow, or maybe we shouldn't talk about Zillow. So can we as real estate agents talk about Zillow? I'm going to read verbatim an email that went out to one of our Be More contributors, and she or he, she's going to remain nameless to protect her or him. They said, hey, this is what our board sent us. It says, there's been much discussion over the status of Zillow. This is from the board to all the realtors in the board. Please note that Zillow has made a significant change to its business and is a licensed real estate brokerage in all 50 states. All of Zillow's licensed principals and agents are now realtors, and as such, members of the National Association of Realtors and subscribe to the Realtor Code of Ethics. Therefore, please be very careful not to criticize or discuss Zillow's or any other brokerage firm's business model outside of your own firm.
Okay, but their business. Okay, sorry, I'll come back to that.
Mm-hmm. Antitrust laws are very strict and designed to protect competition. What? You can find information on antitrust here. Article 15 of the Realtor Code of Ethics states that realtors shall, quote, shall not knowingly or recklessly make false or misleading statements about other real estate professionals, their businesses, or their business practice. You can check the Standards of Practice, Article 15, 2001 Code of Ethics. The Code of Ethics has more information that can be found here, and there's a link. All right. So I'm going to get back to this Article 15. Shall not knowingly or recklessly make false or misleading statements about other real estate professionals, their business, or their business practices. So can we talk about Zillow? Let's just answer that question right now. What do you think in the comments? What do you think in Clubhouse? Can you talk about Zillow? Mike Elizabeth Brodell said, not now. It's like bashing another brokerage.
But I mean, I think you said it, Ray. They are a brokerage, but they also have a website that pushes false information.
Is that a false or misleading or reckless comment, Dan?
No, I can show you the stats right now on their website. Now, I'm not criticizing their business practices. I'm telling you what happens on their website. And we have proof of it where they say your house is worth $350,000. You go log in and say, I want to talk to a realtor. Now it's worth $325,000. What happened? Well, and that's their website. Is that different from their business practices? And are those two things the same now? Is a Zestimate, which are never right, and that's not me slandering, they're never right. Is that now part of their brokerage?
We'll get to part of this in just a minute. Christine M. Smallhorn, she says, like the Zestimate is Bolshevik. I can say it because you can provide proof.
Right.
Curtis Lee said, yes, you can talk about Zillow, but it must be factual.
Right.
Clayton
So I can't just say
says,
they like to kill baby kittens. I can't say that.
Right. So Clayton Fernando Strim says, so does that mean that Zillow can't give net sheets that are clearly false anymore?
That's perfect. They're essentially giving a false net sheet.
Adam Johnson said, you might want to make this group private. Uh-oh, got to go. Sorry about that, Clubhouse. I got a call. So we're back on Clubhouse now. He said, if it is, yeah. So will Zestimates go away since it falls under a brokerage and we need to be protecting the consumer? All right. So this is my understanding of it. And I kind of need to look
great
at
question.
Org chart to be sure. But my understanding is that they're going to keep the platform as a separate thing. So there's a Zillow advertising platform and website that supposedly is a separate thing from the brokerage side. Okay. And if that's the case, then you can talk about and reference the website as the Zillow website, separate and apart from the Zillow brokerage. And that's what I've already heard.
Yeah.
That's what I've already heard agents doing. They're saying, now I'm talking about the website platform for advertising and not the brokerage. Now, this is the reason why I think that they're going to keep it that way. Most of the boards across the United States said you cannot sell listings. You cannot sell ads against listings if you're a member of the MLS. Like, I can't take my website and offer Christina prime placement and sell against listings that I don't list her photo, which is exactly what Zillow does on the website, right? Supposedly. I don't know about all board rules, but that's some of the early discussion. But if they keep their original Zillow feed separate from the IDX, then it does allow them to do that. So I don't know if they're going to keep that separate or if they're going to join it. I have no clue.
Right.
My main question is if they keep those companies separate, and you were talking about the Zillow platform itself and saying your woes, are you okay as a real estate agent? The second part of this discussion that really chaps my hide is the rule is you can't make false or misleading statements. Basically, you can't defame a realtor or another real estate company knowingly. But but their instructions are careful not to criticize or discuss Zillow or any other brokerage firm's business model. That's not the same thing.
It's not.
I can look at the Remax model and publicly say, I think that model is bollocks because agents are paying way too much and they're not getting enough value. And I can talk about the model. I could say that Compass's model doesn't line up with what their original mission statement was. I could say, you could say all that stuff because you're talking about the model. You're not making false statements. It's your own opinion about a business. So I don't understand. And by the way, I don't even know all of Remax models or Compass. I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense to me that they say you can't criticize or discuss a business model. That seems to be a healthy thing in most other industries to look at another business model and critically think about it and discuss about the pros and cons of this business model that this other company is doing. Now, some people say, well, I don't really care what the competition is doing. I'm just going to put my head to the grind and just do my own thing. Well, that's fine, but you may miss out on some innovation that's happening in the marketplace if you don't raise your head up and see what's going on. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts if you're in the clubhouse or we got some comments rolling here. So Curtis Lee said Zillow versus Zillow.com. Michael Elizabeth Riddell said, does a consumer understand the difference between Zillow, the marketing platform, and Zillow, the brokerage? Heck no, they can't. I agree with you, but is it Zillow's responsibility to make that distinction clear, or is it us as a real estate agent or realtors to make that distinction clear? I don't know that answer either. I know whenever we applied for our licensing as our own brokerage, we had to be very clear and clearly distinct and different from other stuff in the marketplace. Christina M. Smallhorn said, they'll promote their agents on top of that website as their premier agents. Total bull hockey again.
Total bollocks.
Christina Smallhorn also says if they openly show their model, we should be able to talk about it.
Well, okay. I want to go back to Clayton's point.
Go up to it.
I believe it was. So does that mean that Zillow can't give net sheets that are clearly false anymore? I've never really thought about it that way. They're essentially, a Zestimate is a net sheet, right? So let me ask the question this way. Can I right now in my farm of 743, which is just north and south of where I'm sitting right now, 743 homes, can I just send out a blanket net sheet saying your house is worth this? I don't know. Can I do that?
Well, I know you can do a comparative market analysis saying it's just an estimation, but it's not it's clearly not. I think you can't say value because you're not an appraiser. You can't say this is your home's value. I think you could do a net sheet and say this is maybe about what it would sell for.
So is that why a Zestimate gets around that? They're not saying it's a value. They're saying this is a Zestimate, which is a
part of the word is the word estimate.
Right. I know exactly, but it's zesty. So
I'm going to do erasemates to all my.
Yeah.
Would you like a erasement for your house?
Yeah, it's a dancement.
Yeah, dancement. I actually like that. That kind of does work, and you can have like a picture of you dancing on top of it. It's a dancement.
Just like yeah.
All right,
but that's what I want to know is if I just sent, and by the way, knowingly false, I sent it out. Your house is now worth $582,000 when it's really only worth $522,000. Can another agent criticize what I've done, saying he's sending out misleading net sheets?
Right.
So two parts. Can I send that? I can send out a market update that says homes are up this much, blah blah blah. Your home may be worth more, but can I say 123 Main Street, your house is now worth this?
So I guess that's different. Like, what can they say to the consumer versus what can we say about them or they say about us? That's kind of the question.
Well, then, the second part of that question is then can if all of a sudden the other agents I compete with says, whoa, he's sending out misleading information, can he criticize me?
So Curtis Lee says the preamble of the Code of Ethics says realizing that cooperation with other real estate professionals promotes the best interest of those who utilize their services. Right. So
Cooperation, though.
that's the first part of it. They're basically saying that if we as agents all cooperate, it's in the best interest of the consumer, right? Realtors urge exclusive representation of clients. Okay, that's fine. Do not attempt to gain any unfair advantage over their competitors. Well, that's weird because real estate agents do that all the time. And
Yeah.
they refrain from making unsolicited comments about other practitioners. So is that practitioners or is that brokerage models? Because I view those as totally different things, right? So if Dan worked for Zillow and I said, oh, Dan is a shyster, but that would be a reckless, unfounded, potentially false comment about Dan, the practitioner. But if I said, I don't really think Dan's business model is best for the consumer, is that reckless?
Yeah. You're
Is
fine
that
with me as a person, but not my business model.
You're a good guy. Your model stinks.
Your model's horrible.
Right. And they refrain from making unsolicited comments about other practitioners. In the instances where their opinion is sought or where realtors believe the comment is necessary, their opinion is offered in an objective and professional. Second part. Oh, okay. That was it. Professional.
Okay.
So that it goes on. It goes on from there. So
If they believe the comment is necessary, that opens up the door, right?
So my good friend Glenda Baker, in full disclosure, I'm going to get to you. Christian is joining us from Clubhouse. I'm going to get to him in just a second to bring him up. But my good friend Glenda Baker says that there is a little overlap in their business that could be problematic because if you're a data broker and you're providing data to people on what their home values appear to be, but you're also a home buyer, it appears to be a bit of a maybe the best interest of the consumer is not in that, right? So that's kind of her argument for that. And maybe that is, maybe that isn't. So for me, I still use Zillow because I think it's a good advertising platform and a lot of people go to Zillow and I want to be sure that my clients are on Zillow. My sellers, they're going to be listed on Zillow as best as I can get them because consumers go there and they look at property there. And in my opinion, it would not be in the best interest of me as a real estate agent. And I could not represent my clients well if I withheld their listing from a platform in which tons of people go and shop for a house. That does not make sense either. So I still utilize Zillow as an advertising platform and I still get leads from Zillow. But one of the first things I do is say, look, like 60% of the listings on there, you can't buy. But that's not really Zillow's goal. Their goal is not to provide consumer information. Their goal is to provide a lead to a real estate agent. And I don't really believe that they're out to try to replace real estate agents. I think they're out to partner with real estate agents. And I think they're probably going to have a giant sucking sound of the bottom hat of the real estate agents, the bottom part of the real estate agents that may not cut it, right? They're going to suck them into their company, but they're going to find out it's going to be a lot easier to give leads to these top teams that already have everything in place, that already have the accountability streams in place. They know how to work it. They know how to do it. And I think Zillow has already seen that that's a lot easier. Right. So personally, and a lot of our show is playing devil's advocate and just talking about what other real estate agents are talking about. But personally, I don't think they're after our jobs as real estate agents. I still think it's a good platform to buy their entire database. So I'm collecting everyone I can that they send my way. We don't have Flex in our area right now, but if we did, from what I hear, it's an even better program. I'm not really worried about Zillow. And everyone's like, oh, you're crazy. You should be. I'm not. I'm worried about Miss Ethel down the street that may be thinking about selling their house. And I know her because she lives just down the street and I haven't said anything to her in a couple of days. Right. So that as long as I'm working my sphere, which is the number one lead gen source that I have, then Zillow won't be able to touch my sphere. But if Zillow starts working my sphere, then that's a problem. And Zillow will, because they're going to send them emails as soon as they show up on their website and they're still going to go around and market to them. So I also have to market to them. So Mike Elizabeth Riddell says it's the responsibility of the National Association of Realtors and state commission associations to protect the consumer, and allowing Zillow to have separate entities, one that has false information and one that is licensed, and expect normal people to understand which are different is ridiculous. I think that may be a problem in the future. Yeah. Another problem that we've talked about in the past is how they're closely knit and tied to the MLS as realtors. Like you have to join realtors to be on the board. And we've been talking in the past how that may not continue, that the the MLS may split from the board to allow more competition and more people with a general real estate license. I would totally see that happening.
And that would be amazing. And we could have, maybe a national website where all of our listings are held.
That would be cool.
Weird.
Pete says, no, you're literally never allowed to criticize another agent. It's against the hallowed code of ethics. You're not allowed to criticize another agent if it's false or misleading, or if you're reckless with it.
Right.
But are you allowed to talk about the business model of another agency? That's interesting to me that they wouldn't let you talk about a business model, because I feel like that, like, here's what this agent does to service their clients, and that's probably not the best way. Is that wrong?
Well, okay, so let's just take we have a lot around here, I'll sell your house for 2%, meaning total. So when I compare what we do, and you get this laundry list of,
Right.
you get this CVS receipt of services from me and my team, right? Or me and our team. And then when you go sell your house for 2%, you get like, well, we'll put it on the MLS, and then you have to fill out your own forms. You don't get a transaction coordinator. You don't get max market exposure. You don't use, there's no lockbox. It's a combo box that anyone can get into. There's no showing time. There's no security. Like, am I criticizing them, or just saying beware of this, because it sounds like a great deal, but you're actually getting less. And I can guarantee you by showing you numbers that you are going to net less money.
So I think this needs to be cleared up, honestly. As Zillow's entered, that's kind of the flag I think that you can fly to say, you guys should clear up this part in the code of ethics, because boards are saying don't criticize or discuss a business model when the code says.
But my job's also
knowingly make reckless or false, misleading statements about another professional, their business, or the business practices.
Okay, but what I'm doing is it's also my duty, my fiduciary duty, to protect my sellers, right?
Right.
So I'm protecting them by showing them that if you do this and pay a full commission, you're gonna net this much more money. And here's all the stats of my team's last 1,000 sales.
But that would be fine, because you're just pointing out your own. It's when you point out the other side and explicitly mention the agent or the brokerage, I think that's what would get you in hot water. So explicitly mentioning Zillow's model as being ineffective would get you in hot water.
Ray's not saying that. He said it would.
I'm not. I mean, I already told you, like, I personally use it. So, maybe one day they'll try to take over the world, but when they do, I'll pull out at that time.
Yeah.
All right. So Pete Thorpe said it makes us look whiny if we have to keep pointing out how terrible Z is. Yeah.
Does it though? Or are we just, because Ray kind of mentioned it to Gladys down the street, if he doesn't reach out to him and reach out to her and give her, the knowledge of what proper service looks like, she may go with an iBuyer program and get more, royally screwed over.
Right. All right, so you guys discuss in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube later, let us know what you think. Can you criticize another brokerage's business model?
Yes.
Can you talk about what they're doing if it's not effective for the consumer, if you're worried about the consumer? Or is it like what Curtis said, you shouldn't offer unsolicited comments, but if it's necessary, offer the opinions in an objective, professional manner. How do you do that? We'd love to hear more of your thoughts there. And I want to go to Christian, who's joining us via Clubhouse. He's been waiting patiently as we've had this discussion. We got someone else with their hand up. Oh, Christina M. Smallhorn is in Clubhouse. Heck yeah. Okay, so Christian, what is your take on this Zillow thing? Can you talk about it? And be careful if it's no.
Hello, gentlemen. So when you guys mentioned earlier in the show about this estimate essentially providing consumers with an inaccurate net proceeds sheet, I had never thought about that way. If that's true, I mean, isn't Redfin also doing that? Because they also have their version of those estimates on their website, and they've been a brokerage from the very start.
That is a valid point. And then there's also these home valuation sites that pull data from wherever. Would they also be in the same hot water? Is that something that you can offer based on the data? I would say in Zillow's defense, they're going to say no, because there's disclosures all over the place. This is just an estimate. It is not an actual home valuation, and you should see an appraiser, blah, blah, blah. Redfin probably has the same disclosure. I haven't looked at their website specifically. Realtor.com, I think they do some home valuations too.
Yeah, because they have always reads the end user license agreement. We all read that.
Right. I think they probably have their legal bases covered.
Yeah.
I think the question remains that even if they legally aren't in trouble with it, is it good for the consumer to see this information that is not wholly accurate? And maybe they'll become more accurate now that they are a member of Realtor, now that they do have access to an IDX feed. Will they use that information to get more accurate home values? I would hope so.
So can I say things like I want to know what's up with the Coldwell Banker logo and why it looks like a military superpower is like a, foreign. Can I ask that question? I'm not saying it is. I'm just, can I ask that question? Why does their logo look like that? Can I ask that?
Well, now I don't know.
Yeah. Can I ask why C21, those agents still wear those weird gold jackets? Can I ask that?
Do they really? No, I don't think you can now, because that would be a business practice. Okay, Christina, I'm trying to bring you up, but you have to, on your side, say, okay, bring me up. Maybe Matt in the room can also do it, because sometimes Clubhouse isn't the most smooth thing. So in order to get you up, I'm gonna have to do a couple of little things there. All right, I invited you to speak. Christina M. Smallhorn in the comments in Clubhouse, join us. I can't get you up here. Matt, can you try to add her? She may be on the phone.
I'm trying. I can hear her on my side, but I can't. I can hear her. I don't know why it won't move her up to the speaker line.
Oh, there she goes. All right, there she goes. I got her up there. Okay. All right, Christina Smallhorn joined it. I had to pull to refresh in order to get it up there. So she is now up with us. Christina, what's your take on this?
I just wanted to ask, so they're not going to be using the website that they currently use to get leads to other agents. Well, how are they going to guarantee that they're not going to be putting their agents ahead of other agents that are paying for that spot? And then if that's the case, how can we not, if it obviously is something that they're doing, how is it that we're not supposed to say anything about it because we're talking bad about their brokerage?
Yeah.
I just feel like that's a muzzle.
I mean, that is the elephant in the room.
Yeah, I would say so. That is the large fella in the family photo that we were talking about earlier.
800-pound gorilla.
And I think Zillow's probably going to have a good answer for it. I don't know that they've thought through all of that yet. I think they're kind of new at the becoming a broker, but supposedly they're I've heard rumors of people saying, yeah, they're going to get sued because they do this practice and that practice. And it's always like this real obscure thing that they could just, if that's not allowed, they could just change that with a click. And some of those things that they're talking about are things that that's on my website too. So I don't, I feed directly from the IDX. So why would mine be in trouble for some of those same reasons? So I don't really think anything is going to come down on Zillow. I also don't really think that anything is going to come down on an agent talking about the Zillow platform as an advertisement. But as realtors, playing nicely in the sandbox doesn't mean not looking out for the consumer. So this is not talking about explicitly Zillow, but if anyone in our marketplace is not doing what they're supposed to, especially if you have evidence, you have to report that as a real estate agent to your board of ethics, because or your board and the ethics, whatever. Because if you don't, you're at risk of the entire industry being affected by the bad reputation of a few.
Yeah. So if I don't report it,
I like Zillow. Yeah, there you go. You're unethical now if you don't report it, because that's really not good for the consumer. So if you believe they're doing something bad for the consumer, then you need to look into it, and then you need to turn them in. But in my opinion, I think they have all the legal bases covered. I think their website so far has been pretty good for the consumer. It's generated thousands and thousands and thousands of leads for agents across the country. It's connected me to people. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it. They're becoming a brokerage to supposedly better serve the consumer. So for me, it's let's wait and see what they do and how they do it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.